and everything that's happened in the NFL. Jesse, the NFL season is really right around the corner as July is basically here. August is going to come around the preseason, and September kicks off. We'll get the NFL season back here week 1 on Thursday Night Football to kick off another great year of the NFL football. We've had debates about the greatest NFL running back of all time, like we just touched on right there. How about we talk about wide receivers? And let's start off with this guy who's not in the NFL anymore, but is in Canada, the CFL. Ocho Cinco, Chad Johnson, whatever you want to call him, Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, whatever. Clown, got arrested for messing around with hitting his wife when he was in Miami, got cut from the Miami Dolphins, spent some time in Cincinnati, went place to place. I feel like in his career, he went to Canada and only had one catch. I believe only it was a 3-yard gain. What do you think of his career now, Jesse, when you think of Chad Ochocinco now? What do you think of what he's done in the NFL?
Done.
Well, yeah.
Well, are you talking about like an overall
his NFL career is
thing?
done, yeah. Let's look back at Chad Johnson's NFL career. What do you take of it?
I can't say he was a bad player because he really wasn't.
He wasn't.
It's kind of how you. We're going on like how you end things. You know, you were talking about with the Spurs and Tim Duncan. If he ended it, would that be like a low note or what? And in my opinion, with the Ocho Cinco, it's like he's good, but he never put an impression on my face. Like
no.
That him and I like to compare Ocho Cinco with T.O. They're both not playing in the league, and guess what? Really, I didn't really care. It didn't faze me at all.
They played together in Cincinnati.
They did, and I thought, gosh, this is going to be,
disaster.
Two big mouths going at it. I'm sorry to them, but geez, for as much talk as they talk, I don't know. I could really care less.
11,000 yards on 766 catches, 67 touchdowns for Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson. His last career game was in New England back in 2011. He's playing in the Canadian League, trying to get his feet back together. In my eyes, people are not in my eyes, in the public's eyes and social media's eyes. They're saying he might be running out of money. That's why he jumped on the CFL train real quick to maybe get a little bit more cash flow to come in. I look at his career and those numbers. I'm not even looking at his personal life or the idiotic things he did on the field, the Hall of Fame jacket, 20 ? I'll be in it. I look at these stats and I say he's a hell of a player. He's a hell of a player. 67 touchdowns on 11,000 yards in the NFL. That's tough to do. It's tough to do. And it's a pass-happy league now, everyone says, and people are saying it's probably easier to get touchdowns as a receiver and catch all these balls and get all these yards because the way the quarterback has changed the game in the NFL in this era. But we have to give him credit for what he did on the field. We know he did a lot of stupid things off the field, like you said, talked a lot of trash, but his numbers do back it up at some points in his career.
Yeah, and that is true. Like I was saying, I don't think he's bad or anything. It's just kind of how you end it. Like you gotta leave some sweetness there when you leave for people to be like, you know what? Yeah, he does have these great numbers, and he does have them. It's just they're not going to be as noticed as another receiver.
Chad Johnson's in the CFL trying to make another career. It looks like it's not going to go the way it's planned. You brought up Terrell Owens.
I did.
I like what he did on the field too. I think he's an outstanding player. What he did in his career is great. I
think he's worse than Ocho Cinco.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, they're alike for one. The other thing is I was
like
talking,
personalities?
Yeah, personality-wise.
Okay.
And it's good to have a personality. That's why everyone liked him. The only thing I ever liked that T.O. said is get your popcorn ready,
Get your popcorn ready.
That's about it. But we were talking about this earlier today when we went and watched the soccer game, and I just never understood because he played in with San Fran, and I just never understood how his personality just went so far to the extent of when he played a game against the Dallas Cowboys and he went and scored a touchdown and went and ran right onto our star, stepped on our star.
Yeah, he stepped on it.
He stepped on the Dallas Cowboys star. Luckily, Emmitt Smith went and tackled him. But then few laters passed, and now he ended up playing with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, oh, geez, look where you ended, man. I just never, and those are the guys that they do so well, it seems. They do good, and they just let their personality and their attitude kill them off because, honestly, when you hear of an all-time great leaving the NFL or leaving football, you hear it. These guys kind of went out with just a fade. You didn't really hear nothing. They're gone, man.
Let's see if this is a clip when he joined the Buffalo Bills. See if he says, "Get your popcorn ready." Terrell Owens.
They made some eyes open last year, so if I can be that extra added piece, to the puzzle to get them to the playoffs and make something happen, then that's what I'm here for.
So obviously that's not the right clip of him, but that's when he joined Buffalo. But his career in San Francisco is great. I think we both agree there. He left San Francisco. Is that when his career went downhill, even though he made it to a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, he did good with the Eagles, I think. I think when I think of him, I think of him the most with the Eagles. So.
You do?
Yeah, I think
he was only there for 2 years.
I don't know. I think of him. I think of him a lot with the Eagles for some reason. And maybe it was because growing up.
Well, him and McNabb were never on the same page together. I feel like.
Yeah, that's.
Do you get that sense too when they were together in Philadelphia?
I think he never was
even
on
though they
the
went
same
to the Super
page
Bowl?
with anybody.
Him and Romo?
Any team. He never. I don't think he was never. He would pout every team he went to. He'd pout about something. You know what I mean?
His stats are outstanding though. 153 touchdowns, nearly 16,000 yards. Last time he played in the NFL was with the Bengals in 2010. You talked about him in Dallas. He really had some great years in Dallas. Every year he was in Dallas, at least 1,000 yards receiving there. Honestly, he helped the Cowboys out when he was there. He helped Romo. Or no?
No, he did. He helped a little bit. When at our best, we had, Dallas had a lot of good receivers. We had Miles Austin coming out of nowhere. We had Patrick Creighton. We had a few guys. Having him was, I don't know if it was a good or a bad thing because there was always some media things going on. Yeah. But, I'm not going to say he did bad. I just don't miss him. That's all I'm trying to say.
He did some stupid things, though. He really did. Like, dancing and doing this stuff. I think here's a little clip of an audio that Terrell Owens did. Remember that?
No, I don't.
You don't remember that?
No.
I'm trying to look toward the future, win the big things. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I'm trying to look toward the future.
Terrell Owens.
The Super Bowl. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Are you still rolling?
And Ocho Cinco, of course, those two.
Is it a bad thing I didn't hear it?
No, that clip I just started off with was when he was at his home and he's a free agent just working out outside and the cameras were all around him. Trying to get noticed that way. Trying to get someone to sign him.
He's funny sometimes. But, yeah.
All right, let's get back on the topic of greatest receivers of all time. Jerry Rice, in my eyes, and your eyes, we both think he's hands down the number one receiver of all time. What he's done in his career, 197 touchdowns, 22,000 yards, nearly just shy of 23,000 on 15,049 receptions in his career. Mostly everything with the 49ers. He went to Oakland for a while, didn't do bad. He played 6 games, 1 year, only 67 yards, went to Seattle to end his career. And there's another receiver you really like, Michael Irvin. He had a couple of personal issues, and you really think he could have been the number one all-time greatest receiver?
I don't know. I think I loved Michael Irvin, man. I think you look at us, you look at Dallas in the '90s, and we were the team of the '90s over there. You had Aikman, you had Irvin, the triplets, and he was really good. But then again, he had a really great quarterback too. So did Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice as well.
He had two great quarterbacks.
Yeah. So I believe he could have been a lot better. Maybe it would have took a lot more to get to number one where Jerry Rice was. But if he didn't let his personal life get in his way, you never know. That's a big what if.
You have a story on the personal life?
Just he got into drugs and stuff, a lot of coke and stuff like that. Kind of screwed with him.
Why he was in the league?
Yeah. So he let a lot of personal stuff camper with what he could have achieved, but he did achieve. So
Randy Moss, take on him. One of the greatest wide receivers of all time as well. Known as the Freak.
He could go up there as well. But he also learned from one of the other best that played in the league for a long time.
Chris Carter. That's where he learned there with the Vikings. Chris Carter doesn't get enough recognition.
He doesn't, and that has to do with the team he was on. That was the team that has the missing rings.
Team had, I think, the most wins that season, 13-3. Loses in the conference final, not the conference finals. They lose the game before the Super Bowl when the Minnesota Vikings there, and that was really the best chance he had to get in the ring.
Yeah.
Minnesota Vikings.
And he was getting old, and he stayed in there for a long time, so that's a lot of...
The NFC Championship.
Yeah. And Chris Carter, like I said with Randy Moss kind of put an edge with and learned with Chris Carter. Chris Carter's known for the one-hand catches, always making his one-hand catches, and he stayed in the league for so long. You know, he'd tell players, you know what, because you know how football is, players get in your face telling you, oh, you can't do that, get off the field, old man.
Yeah.
Chris Carter would be like, you know what, you better pray that you can play as long as I am, because that's how long he really played there.
But we've talked about two loudmouth receivers already.
He was one. He was kind of, yeah, he I respect Chris Carter completely over Terrell Owens.
Okay, well, I'm talking about loudmouths too. We can move back to Randy Moss too, right?
Oh yeah, I guess yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Well, all of them were.
But I mean,
Chris Carter was freaking.
Randy Moss, what he did in 2007 with the New England Patriots, where they went undefeated and lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl, 23 touchdowns in one season. That's incredible. Broke the record.
Yeah.
And is that now?
What?
Is it fair to give Brady more of the credit than Moss? Did Brady need Moss? No.
It's a whole team thing.
Moss needed Brady to be successful, to get to his only Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
That he needed him?
Did Moss need Brady?
I think he played a big part in it, but I don't necessarily see he needed him to survive or live. You know, like he could have done
to be successful.
To be successful. He didn't need, like he needed him, but he didn't need him.
What?
That doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm just talking about.
He needed him, but he didn't really need him.
It takes a lot of, because you need a good quarterback for one, but he didn't need to stay there, and I don't even know where he went after with the Patriots. He just kind of
disappeared.
Well, yeah, what's happened with all these guys just disappearing?
Some of the greatest receivers of all time that we've seen growing up.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say the guys we talked about, Moss, Ocho Cinco Johnson, and
Chris Carter?
Well, Chris Carter was.
I think Chris Carter deserves to be.
Well, Chris Carter was a little bit before us because I'm saying before us because he retired, and then these guys really emerged. He made Randy Moss what's Randy Moss today in my eyes.
Yeah, he did. I mean, with Minnesota, the Vikings, he was a really, really young player. Nobody wanted him because of, for one,
from Marshall?
He was he wasn't really a good kid. He always wanted to play in Dallas, and Dallas didn't pick him up, and he was really pissed off about that. And, his first game against Dallas, him and Chris Carter put in some work. So, he is a rough kid that they turned around and made him a good football player.
Randy, you guys are listening to the David Vito Show with Jesse Valdez today on Sports Home Radio. Thank you guys for being a part of today's show. Courtney Gardner at Sports Home PGA is going to join us here momentarily to talk some golf and Tiger Woods being back in action today. We're talking NFL wide receivers. How can we talk wide receivers and not mention this guy from Indianapolis, Marvin Harrison?
Yeah.
We definitely got to mention him when we're talking the greatest wide receivers of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them that we need to mention. It's just we don't have enough time to mention them.
Well, who else you got on the list?
Who else would I put on there? Are we just going all time?
Just throw out some names you think that we deservingly should be talking about.
Oof, gosh, which one was on mine?
Marvin Harrison. I mean, what he did.
Are we talking about guys that are still playing too?
Yeah, we can talk about guys still playing.
I'd probably put Fitzgerald in there.
Fitzgerald's a name that he probably won't ever get back to the Super Bowl again.
That's a bummer.
Unless he moves on.